Hello, my name is Dr. Carrie Van Zant, and welcome. Welcome to the Power of Positive Affirmation online course. So I am the Executive Director of Neuro-Navigation, and Neuro-Navigation is a enrichment learning organization that provides tools, resources, and services for those who learn differently, or known as neurodivergent learners. And today we're going to do a dive into the power of positive affirmation. This is so important and so valuable to your neurodivergent learner that we intentionally carved it out. We mention it, probably through most of our online courses because it's so important. But here we intentionally carved it out. And I encourage you to invite your neurodivergent learner to watch, listen, and provide any feedback that they might have. So let's begin. Now, being neurodivergent really is not easy, especially when you're still becoming aware that you even are neurodivergent. And being neurodivergent also is no reflection on intelligence. So the phrase of being a neurodivergent learner simply means that that individual learns differently. It simply means that, but it's incredibly important to understand that they learn differently so that you can provide the tools, the resources, the support so that they learn to their maximum educational potential. Right? We've all had subjects or lessons or just information that someone has tried to teach to us that has been difficult for whatever reason. For neurodivergent learners, there's a real barrier to learning and understanding information. And just like we've experienced the frustration with a subject or a lesson or a bit of information, you can imagine that if you have a wiring within your cognitive setup that prevents you from taking in information, from understanding that information, to being able to process it and really learn from it, how frustrating that can be. And then when you talk about that this has potential to be in your 5 days a week, average 7 hours a day of school lifestyle, it becomes really emotionally negative for neurodivergent learners. So, the importance of positive affirmation. And just as a reminder, we have some other online classes that really dive deep into the various neurodivergent areas, and as well as just a 101, a basic class on what neurodivergent is. And this information is available elsewhere as well. So as a reminder, being neurodivergent, again, means that you learn differently. And it's really, that's it. Meaning, it doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean you're not smart. It doesn't mean you can't do it. It means that you need to be taught in a methodology or a way that is not the standard, the normal way. You need to be taught in a way that you can comprehend the information. And once that neurodivergent learner has that key to learning, the entire world opens up in their ability to learn, right? And so neurodivergent is an individual who may be dyslexic, who may be dysgraphia, who may have autism, who may have ADHD, may have a combination of conditions that create barriers to their learning. And so there are online classes that we provide at Neuro-Navigation that really dive deep into those. And the most important is to discover how to get help. But this class is really about the positive affirmation value. And it's, to me, it's not an option. It is a necessary component being a neurodivergent learner, right? So if you will, imagine that you have these long days at school and you hear this negativity, whether it's from peers, whether it's your inner sabotage voice, or whether it is teachers, or maybe even it's moms and dads who are saying, try harder. And that neurodivergent learner hasn't yet identified, with the help of professionals, what they're learning is different, or why their learning is challenged. Then they constantly hear this and expect themselves to be able to learn without the right tools that they need. It becomes incredibly negative for an individual. And it just adds on another barrier to learning, right? If you've been there, I've been there, we've all been there. But for neurodivergent learners, it's regularly being in a place where you feel like you can't learn, you can't grasp it. I have a daughter who is a neurodivergent learner, a beautiful learner, and she describes that her situation at school as well as at home, and I have a lot of guilt for this for being a mom, when we didn't grasp on yet that she was a neurodivergent learner. She describes that there was a lot of pressure to do something that she felt like she had no control over to do. She wanted to do it, but she had no control over to do it. And when she continued to feel like that, she started to refer to herself as being dumb, a dummy, to being somebody that, why should she even bother? She can't do it anyway. And it really, at one point in her very young life, spiraled into a very deep and dark depression. And so the importance of regular, daily positive affirmation is incredibly critical. And that's why we're talking about it today. So while there's an investigation that's happening on what support would help your neurodivergent learner in getting the tools, the resources, as my daughter describes it, the light bulb, to learning her learning needs, their learning needs. While that's happening, it's really, really important that on a parallel track, same time, there is a deep investigation on identifying your students' unique learning needs and strengths while also collaborating with the student to understand their perspective. How do they feel about learning different? How do they feel about sharing with others that they learn different? And I'll share with you a story, a very personal story. So my daughter has a few specific learning disabilities as well as ADHD. So she has dyslexia, where she has a severe condition of dyslexia, and really that means that she had real struggles in identifying the letters on the page, recognizing them. At times she said that they would float, certain letters would float, and that it was really tough to tell the spatial differences between letters. So was this still a word? Did this go into 2 words or 3 words? Etc. So she has dyslexia. She also has dysgraphia. And that means that she struggles at writing. And so, a lot of times in classes and educational settings, students will be asked to read a paragraph or even just a sentence and write about it or answer a question specific to it to identify the comprehension of that information. Well, even if it was comprehended, if you have dysgraphia, it could be really difficult to write answers. And so that's another specific learning disability. And then in addition to that, she has ADHD, so she really struggled with focusing. And especially when these other challenges were there, the focusing on the lesson or the request that was being asked by the teacher was just near impossible. And so it's powerful to talk about that with the student and to not judge the student of why aren't you doing this. My daughter shares she has learned to learn in her unique way, and since then she loves to learn, and she's even written a book about her experiences. And in her book, she talks about the shame, the shame of admitting that she doesn't know the answer, especially when all of the peers around her seem to have the answer fairly quickly. And of course, as she was passed from one grade to the next grade to the next grade, it just became more and more daunting. And so she shares about this shame. And what's really interesting today is, and in this book, she also talks about overcoming that and saying, this is who I am, and I need help. And there's nothing wrong with it. I just learn different. And that's a beautiful thing. So really important to start talking to your child about their learning differences. And even if there isn't a medical diagnosis, dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, ADHD, etc., if there is just some indicators to you that they learn different, just to be able to talk to them about that and not assume that they don't want to do it, not assume that they are being lazy or having some rebellious response to being asked to do something, but talking to them and really diving in. While experiencing and learning about themselves, right? So we all go through the development of learning stages. And for a neurodivergent learner, especially when they're taught by neurotypical learners, they don't know that they're different. And so until they continue to fail, unfortunately, then it becomes apparent that they're different. But they're not different in a bad way. They're different in a way that we as educators need to identify, all right, and how do they learn, and provide that to them. So as they are struggling, right, it's a learning curve to just even identify that this is who you are, this is where you fit into, and then to get the help that you need. It's really important to continue to provide additional options for learning. And this can come from hobbies. It can come from a variety of interests that are outside of the academic setting. Okay, so reading's tough. So let's continue to work with experts to identify why reading is tough. But meanwhile, let's look at the other things that you can do. My daughter who has dyslexia, she wasn't able to read or recognize her name, her first name, when she was 14 years old. She really, really struggled. But one of the interests or hobbies that she picked up was photography. And I'll tell you what, still today, she has a incredible eye. I mean, a fine art. In fact, that's what she ended up going to school for, a fine art degree. Not in photography, but in communication. She has a incredible eye for visual photographs, for images, for taking them, for seeing them. We would drive down the highway and she'd say, Mom, pull over, pull over. What do you see? And she'd take a picture on her digital camera. She'd show it to me, and I hadn't seen that, but she just has this incredible. So that's not uncommon with neurodivergent learners, is that they take in things differently in a beautiful way, in a way that neurotypical learners like myself can't even dream to have that talent. So find other hobbies, find other interests, positive things. There are lots of strengths in a neurodivergent learner, and start working on uncovering those. It can be a hike. It can be interest in nature, which leads to loving bugs and wanting to learn about bugs, and could be a myriad of interest or hobbies that develop that are components of building the strengths within that neurodivergent learner so that they have more of a balance. Because as you can imagine, being in school, an average of 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, that's not including the homework and the things outside of school that are needed for usage of reading, writing, and arithmetic, some of the areas, common areas for being a neurodivergent learner. It can be really frustrating, really negative. And so to find those balances, the positive things, is so important. And then also implementing positive social time and interactions, right? So my daughter, and she shares this in her book, came home one day and asked me what a really derogatory term was. She asked me what tard meant, and she shared that she was being called that on the playground. We don't know all the stresses our children go through because they learn different. We have no idea all of the aches and the pains and the trauma and the drama that children go through because they learn different. But we can empower positivity into their life, and it's so important to do that, especially for neurodivergent learners. So another area too is really value is to create an outlet for them to talk about things. And maybe it's hard to talk to mom or dad about things, or brother or sister, but providing an outlet for them so that they can talk about some of the experiences that they're going to, because they ultimately have a need to work through those so that they can come out, if you will, confident and believing in themselves and saying, yeah, I'm dyslexic. So what? Can you repeat that again? I'm a neurodivergent learner. And they will be amazed by the response that they receive if they can get to a point where they can share that. So the last little square here, and I see that my face is covering it, but it says celebrate the achievements and provide consistent positive feedback. So they themselves, that internal dialogue will be negative sometimes, a lot of times, when they are finding out that, I don't feel like I can do this. I'm being asked to do this. Everybody around me can do it, but for whatever reason, I can't do it. They will hear peers not always being positive. They will even hear teachers. And sometimes as parents, we get frustrated and we're not always positive, but it is incredibly critical that we are intentional positive to them on the myriad of things that they do well, right? Maybe they put the toothbrush back. Maybe they picked out the clothes. Maybe they did a chore without asking, with asking. You know, feedback of positive reinforcement. You are valuable. You are good. You are clever is something that goes a long, long ways, especially with young neurodivergent learners. And what I mean by young is those who are still identifying that they're neurodivergent learners and getting the help that they need. That's a whole transition for people, especially young people. So every opportunity that's positive, grasp it. It means a world of difference for your neurodivergent learner. So, I talked about that I have a neurodivergent child, and I watched her go from being happy, curious, lots and lots of questions of a personality to really, after she started school, I saw this almost immediate, slow, but immediate and constant decline in asking questions, in wanting to participate, and also in her happiness, an immediate decline. And so this came and really, as I shared before, went into a dangerous depression. And so, if I can avoid that for anybody else, any other family out there, this is what this is for. Excuse me, I can't say it enough how hard it is. And I'm not a neurodivergent learner, but my daughter has expressed this in this book that she's created, how hard it is to be a neurodivergent learner. And so they need allies. They need us, and they need people that can help them to appreciate we're all different. Appreciate that they're different and see the value and the good that they have and grow with that, right? Maximize that. Just share something too with you is that I have tremendous guilt that of an approach that I took as a parent, not uncommon. It was with good intentions, but it's tremendous guilt today. And it's based on ignorance. But I have tremendous guilt of not being somebody who was more supportive, who had a lack of thinking that my daughter had noble, positive intentions, but instead, I was critical of her, suggested to her that she wasn't focusing. I had no idea she had ADHD. At the time, I thought only boys got ADHD. There wasn't a lot of information of it out. And I certainly didn't think it was a focusing problem. I thought it was somebody that just wiggles a lot. And so my ignorance led to me being critical instead of being curious and asking, questions. Do you feel that you can do this? Why do you feel that you can't do this? I would sit down and show her a problem from school, work it out for her, explain it to her, and say, okay, you've got 5 more to do, and come back, and she hadn't done any of them. And I again have tremendous guilt of being critical. Now, hindsight 2020, and my daughter and I have had many discussions about this, and I take this on as a bigger burden than I think that she does. But nonetheless, I share with you, if that's an area that you can avoid, try to avoid it. Come across with curiosity. There may be a reason, a very important reason, that your child is not doing the homework assignment, the request, the chore, whatever it might be. There might be a reason behind that. So inquire, and always, always, always consider getting, professional evaluations or professional insight to what might be going on. And then, it just reminds me too that we have a online class where you can audit all the tools, all the resources, all the knowledge to audit the classroom. And this is something I wish I would have done earlier. I ended up doing it, and found it tremendously valuable. But it's something I wish I would have ended up doing sooner than later. And if you hear your child come home and share these negative situations, or um, just are negative about their school experience, I implore you to check out that online class. Um, but for sure, reach out to your teacher and ask to come in and observe. You have every right to do that as a parent, and taking this little bit of training so you know what you're looking for and have the tools to be as objective as possible, so that it really is a valuable um, and efficient time spent for you to identify areas where you can better understand what your child is saying when they describe the school experience, but also identify and start working with your teacher on how to improve that experience. It's been through my time in working with neurodivergent families, a interest of teachers who want the best, just like the parent, want the best for their student. And so collaborating, connecting with those teachers will be helpful. So, this slide really talks to what we've touched on, and that is when, not if, when a neurodivergent learner starts to display lack of confidence and negative self-image, all because of barriers to learning. Positive news is those barriers can be identified and pushed out of the way, right? With support and services, tools, resources. Um, but if you can, as a parent, as an ally of your neurodivergent learner, reduce those negative impacts as quickly, identify and reduce them as quickly as possible, and reduce that deep dive of lack of confidence and self negative impression that they have for their ability to learn, then your drive back up, if you will, to them really having the beautiful opportunity to maximize their potential in their learning experience. It's a much quicker rebound. So, and this providing positive affirmations is a big part of it. Okay, so I want to look at the areas here that, and I really want to talk to the parent, that breaking up that negative focus. So again, it's a long day. It's 5 days a week. And so if you can break that up, that negativity of just that consistent, you can't do it, you're not doing it, you don't know how to do it, etc. If you can break through those with some opportunities to recognize strengths, no matter how little they are, it'll make a huge difference. If you can explore those hobbies, and once you find one, empower your child to go full bloom into them, that makes a huge difference too, right? Again, it's breaking that negative focus. And there are other things in life that are good. If you can celebrate and make a big deal out of even the smallest things, that is empowering. I give you an example of this. Have you ever had somebody say to you, "Oh gosh, you're so good at that," and you have this, I don't know why, but a lot of us have this, you have this, "Oh, that was nothing, no, no, no," this immediate response of, no, I'm not good. It's just something I do. That is tenfold in people that are neurodivergent. And it's tenfold because a lot of times they don't even hear the positive. So anytime, and I'm thankful that it's fairly often, anytime that somebody compliments my daughter and it's in front of me, I will jump in. Try not to interrupt or jump into conversations, but I will jump in on that and say, that is so appreciative that you see that. It is so great. And then I will also reinforce to my daughter and say, did you hear that? Other people, when it's true, and often it is, other people have identified that strength in you as well. And so to not let those float by, right? To grasp those. And what you're doing is you're also training your neurodivergent learner, your child, to grasp those too. So identify and grasp those. And of course, whenever you have an opportunity to be authentic and share positive insights, take full advantage of that. And this one, surrounding yourself with positive role models. And so this is really important to, as a parent of a neurodivergent learner, I lost some friends. Well, I thought they were friends. And of course, my daughter really lost some friends. And that's okay. But you want to surround your people, you want to surround yourself, and you want to surround your child with people that are positive. Doesn't mean they have to be neurodivergent, doesn't mean they have to understand what being neurodivergent is, but that they respect inclusivity, that they identify and have appreciation for people who are different. We're all different, but for all of us who are different, but especially for our neurodivergent learners who learn different. Surrounding yourself around positive people is a game changer. Don't try to convince those who don't want to understand. If they ever want to come along and try to understand from a positive mindset of curiosity, then fine. But if they are going to, ask or provide a negativity in their inquiries for what they see as oddness, then you've got enough people that you could be surrounded with that will provide you with support. And it's so important for parents who are trying to understand too how to best support your child, as it is for the neurodivergent learner, to surround yourself with positive people. They're out there. We're here, and we support you. We see you, we love you, and we support you. And then this last bullet here, to really grow your mindset and embrace the challenges as opportunities to learn. Can't say it enough. Being neurodivergent is a beautiful outset when you really understand and appreciate that everybody's different. There is no such thing as normal. What is normal? There's no such thing as normal. We're all different. We're all unique. Even twins are unique, right? And so being neurodivergent simply means you learn differently. Now, at Neuro-Navigation, we have several online classes that describe the complexity of learning differently. I didn't say it was easy. I didn't say it wasn't complex. But really what it means is that you learn differently. And so there are ways to identify how neurodivergent individuals learn and to support them so they can learn like everybody else. We all learned at one point our various skill sets. We all are life learners and have more to learn. And so it's knowing how you learn best. That's it. Knowing how you learn best is really the door opener to maximizing potential learning opportunity. So start to investigate. What seems to work? What doesn't work? Why doesn't it work? I don't know. That's okay. But start to investigate those areas. But most importantly, know that because you learn different, it doesn't mean you're not intelligent. It has nothing to do with that. It doesn't mean that you can't learn, and it doesn't mean that you're less than. It does not mean any of those things. It simply means you learn different. I love this quote. It says, "You are unique and valuable, just the way you are, just as you are. You don't have to be different." And being a neurodivergent learner, the goal isn't to be different. No, 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 no. The goal is to be you, your beautiful self, and to identify what your strengths are. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. And it's also to incorporate resources and tools and services into your learning experiences so that you can learn. And so constant reassurance of you are unique, we are all unique, and you are valuable exactly how you are. Don't change. Okay, so on this slide, I'm going to really talk to our neurodivergent students, right? I'm going to talk to our learners. And I'm going to start with this bullet list of really powerful, positive affirmations. And it is incredibly changing when you read or hear or see a positive affirmation at least minimum once a day. Once a day. You see it, you say it, you hear it about yourself at least once a day. We have a really nice, organized, inspirational booklet of quotes. I think there's like 300, there's at least one for every day. That some will really resonate, that will really, you will recognize them and they will be powerful and meaningful to you, but they're all positive. And so um, here's an example of some positive affirmations, but if you need something, you can Google, you can, or whatever search engine you use, you can have a look at what is, what we offer, but there are positive affirmations out there. But most important is that you are receiving one, right? So you're reading it, you're visually seeing it, you're saying it to yourself, you're hearing it from somebody else at least once a day. It is so critical. And so here's some examples, right? And so this first one says, you are a unique and valued learner. We've identified that. And so what do I mean by that? Really, that there is a strength, there's an incredible strength in being neurodivergent. And if you haven't figured that out yet, you will. You will. Let me give you an example. I don't want to seem like I'm hiding any secrets. Here's an example. So my daughter is neurodivergent, and she has dyscalculia. She has so she struggles with math concepts. She struggles with reading and writing, arithmetic. She struggles with socialization. She struggles with focusing. And so I can name a couple more, but you get the point. She's unique. Just one of the incredible talents that she has is photography. And I'm not talking about creating selfies. I'm talking about really impressive, award-winning, National Geographic um, acceptance of the images that she can create. And so I shared that a little bit, but this is just one of her talents. And so you have talents too. You do. And just because you may struggle with reading and or writing, and or focusing. Just because there's learning struggles for you doesn't mean you don't have some really powerful, important, valuable, desirable strengths. So start looking for those because you have them. But that's what that positive affirmation is. So I just going to read some of these, and you can take a little bit more time to read through some of the deeper meaning of these, and most important, find your own deeper meaning. But here's some more examples of being a positive affirmation. I am adaptable and resilient. Think about what you've been through, what you're going through, what changes you're making so that you can be the best you can be. That's pretty impressive. We all have to do it at some stage, but you're already working on it. So celebrate yourself for that. I am passionate and driven. I am a visual and hands-on learner. So everybody has a learning style. We're born with our learning styles. Figure out what your learning style is. On our website, we've got a quiz you can take. You can get quizzes in other areas too. The one on our website is geared towards adolescents. But figure out what your learning style is and gravitate to that when you start to experience or explore new opportunities, right? You are an outside the box thinker. Say that to yourself. I am an outside the box thinker. When school concepts come up and it's explained, and friend on the left, student on the right, they seem to understand, but you don't, you're an out of the box thinker. And I don't know if you've heard this yet, but you likely will. It's a very positive thing. It's a very desirable thing to be an out of the box thinker, somebody who thinks about things different, somebody who just doesn't sit there and nod their head or agree, but somebody that says, or it could be done like this, or I understand it to be perceived like that. That's an out of the box thinker. And especially when you get older, which is a long ways away, but when you get older, it's a very desirable trait. So a few more. I have a unique perspective. Yes, you do, and it's a wonderful one. I am persistent and hardworking. Very true for neurodivergent learners. They have to work first and find what helps them to learn. And really, they're the only ones that know that. So you try lots of different things, and then once you discover it, like I said, the door kind of opens, and you're on your road to reaching your maximum potential opportunity. Meaning you understand more and are able to learn, comprehend, evaluate, and produce what you've learned. Take advantage of it. So I am a persistent hard worker. I am detail-oriented and observant. A lot of neurodivergent learners really get into the detail of the subject matter, which is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Not everybody can do that. I am empathetic and emotionally intelligent. You maybe discover that as a positive trait. And then I am a lifelong learner. So again, once you unlock how you learn, there's no stopping you, kiddo. So find those positive affirmations and don't set them aside. Don't say, yeah, there it is, I'll read it later. Take some intentional time that you observe them, that you reflect on your being in comparison to the positivity that you're reading, because there's a lot of positive traits and abilities that you have, and it's important to recognize them. So positive affirmations every day, at least one every day, and applying those, right? So If it's something that you read, that's one way to do it, or Google it, or use our booklet that we have. That's one way to do it. But again, learning to accept when somebody recognizes something in you. Hey, you did this well. Hey, it's amazing you can do that. Accept that. People say those things because they're impressed. Accept that and appreciate that in yourself. You don't have to brag about it, but appreciate that in yourself because you have a lot of great values, a lot of great traits, and people are already noticing them. So just hear that from others, and believe in yourself, right? And then community. Uh, we have a community on Neuro-Navigation. Feel free to be a part of that community. It's really valuable when people are going through something similar. They kind of get it. It's not, it's almost never the same, but it's similar. And so people are willing to hear your side, willing to hear your perspective, and to say, yeah, I can see where that's tough. Or I've had similar situations, and here's how I've dealt with it. Sometimes that's really, really a positive, helpful input in a community, a building of community. There are a lot of people who are neurodivergent learners, and they provide so much value in the world that we all live in. They make things that others can't. They have visions of better lives that they work towards or share with others, that come true. And so, if you're ever curious, you can Google the neurodivergent learners. A lot of them own their own companies. It's just incredible. So just because you learn different does not make you less. It certainly does not make you less smart. Just means you got to find the key to how you learn. And so being with a community who gets that is really helpful, because unfortunately there are a lot of people in our world who don't get it, and that's their loss, not yours, not ours. So what we talked about today is really this wraparound of support, right? And the goal is to embrace your uniqueness, to cultivate your self-confidence, and to access the resources that you need. They're going to be different for you than it is for you, and for you, and for me. The resources that you need to reach your full and maximum learning potential. It's out there. There's lots of resources and lots of tools. I promise you that. The tougher thing is for you, the neurodivergent learner, to be able to communicate, this is what I need. And it's not that you don't want to. Sometimes you just don't really know yet. It takes a little while to find it. So continue to work with those who surround you, those who love you, those who want to help you to find those. And you'll find them. There are lots on our website in Neuro-Navigation. Feel free to go through those and see what works best for you. So understand the impact of feeling different. We're all different, but for people who learn differently, sometimes the people around us don't understand it, and so they are negative towards us, towards neurodivergent learners, and that's too bad. So understand the feelings that you feel, express the feelings that you feel with people that you trust, and know that your strength is inside. You have value of insurmountable capacity. And just because somebody around you doesn't see that, doesn't understand that, you keep working towards it, and it'll shine through. Discover those talents and use, I can't express that enough, that's why we're having this class. Use those positive affirmations every day. Yeah, but today I'm having a good day. Keep a habit of using those, and find the resources that you need, right? I promise you, there's almost too many resources out there. And what I mean by that is it can be confusing, it can be daunting to sift through the volumes of information. It's a good thing, but it can still be daunting to do that. So if you need support with that, we're here. Reach out to us, and we'll support you in any way we can. And know that on our website, it's a good starting point to. That's how we've designed it, is to try to keep it as simple as possible so that you can get to the information that you need and that it's valuable. You can use it. And then the very bottom of this, I just love, right? And so the goal is to embrace your uniqueness, cultivate that self-confidence, and to access the resources that you need. This is all about you, so that you can reach your full potential, so that you can learn things that you're interested in and learn them in the way that you know works best for you. So we're going to make a habit out of it. That's why I put a toothpaste and toothbrush there. Make a habit out of receiving positive affirmations every day, even on those good days, on those busy days. Every day, take time to really embrace a positive affirmation and look for those hidden messages. Oh man, I don't know how you do that. Yeah, that's amazing. That is a compliment. That's a hidden message that says, wow, I'm really impressed. Look for those and appreciate those. Don't just let them fly by. Appreciate those. Let them build up. And just say it. Tell yourself, I am pretty amazing. I am unique. I have strengths. I have value, because it's all true. We believe in you, and you have got to believe in yourself. So by incorporating these positive affirmations into your daily life, you can really build resistance to the negativity. You will unfortunately still come across people who don't understand and negativity. And it's going to be at times difficult to understand why. Why do they act like that? Why don't they understand? But your true, authentic self will shine through, and all the value that you have inside of you is already there. So keep being positive to yourself and let it come out. Let it flourish and grow and build. And then you decide, which parts do I want to explore more? Which parts do I want to share with others? Which parts of my greatness, because you absolutely have greatness, which parts of my greatness am I going to allow to make a difference in the world that I'm in? We talked about making these habitual. I keep saying it because it's really that important. And let me share with you one of my favorite positive affirmations. There's a quote that I have that says, the best view comes after the hardest climb. And what that means to me is life's sometimes hard and it's not fair. And it seems like that for others it could be easier. But when I find myself keeping moving forward, even tiny steps forward, I eventually get there. I eventually accomplish what I want to accomplish and set out. And that's that meaning of the view is just the most wonderful, because I've worked so hard for it. And sometimes others don't appreciate that you've worked hard. Sometimes others don't understand how hard you've had to work because you learn differently. But coming to that point after that hard climb is just even that much sweeter. So that's one of the positive affirmations that I really enjoy. And so find some that really make sense to you. Find some that you can identify with and that will keep you going during the hard times, but also just keep you positive as you continue to learn about yourself and how you learn and how you will open the doors to maximizing your abilities. So you're not alone. There's all kinds of resources out there. Neuro-Navigation is a great place to start. Find people around you that want to help you, that want to include you, that want to understand. These are good friends, and they will help you grow, and they will benefit from you sharing your strengths with them. And this is a hard one, especially when you're really struggling and are at the, front of seeing all the barriers in front of you, is being patient, being kind to yourself and being patient. You have it within you. And while you want to just unlock it and see it now, sometimes as a neurodivergent learner, it takes a little bit more work to unlock. So be patient. You will find it. You will get there, but be patient and keep trying. Keep trying different tools and different options because you're worth it. So I want to say thank you for joining us today and really impress upon you, I hope, that the power of positive affirmation is critical and it needs to be a habit, and having positive people around you as well as access to tools, resources, and services will make a huge difference for your neurodivergent learning needs. If you have questions or need more information, do not hesitate to reach us. We're at this website of https://neuro-navigation.com, or you can reach out to us through email at info at neuro, Neuro dash navigation, Navigation. Love to hear from you. This is a gorgeous picture, a photograph that my daughter took. Just wanted to show that to you. It matches my one of my favorite affirmation phrases of the harder the climb, the more beautiful the view. You have a fantastic day. Thanks for joining us.